Welcome to Meet Me Halfway. I'm Jordan Griffin. He is Austin McNorton. Had to do the signature bang clap. As
You
we
can't not do it. You really can't
not do it. Sorry we missed the show on Monday. My mom had all of a sudden a very, very serious health issue that I had to take care of while we were doing the show, actually. So we made it halfway through. So we're basically going to cover the second half of stuff in the second half of this episode. So it's going to basically be a Monday format. Sorry, guys. I know you're waiting for fact or fiction, so I had to give it to you guys. Austin, you got to say hello to people. Forgot about
Look
that.
where I'm at, back in Northwest Missouri, back in the OG studio. Feels great.
And this is the first show where we are both now in school.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Give yourself a round of applause.
You deserve it. I have class here in a couple hours, and then my Tuesday, Thursday was off.
So who's really better? We should make that the Twitter poll. What? Classes to be done before noon or classes that don't start till 5?
Well, okay, the thing is my Tuesday, Thursday art classes I don't like because I start at 5, and then I have like a 2-hour break, and I start at 8. So Tuesday, Thursday, I kind of got screwed on. My Monday, Wednesday is from 5 to 7, and I have 3 classes within those like hours. So it's pretty nice. Or it's from 3 like 3 or 4 to 7, which is prime time. And it's better than you. So
rather than 10 to 11, because that's what I do. But that's fine.
Yeah, at least I don't have to wake up early, and I get to work before I have to go to school.
10 o'clock is so early in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's okay that you're insecure about your times. That's fine. You don't have to deflect. It's okay. I get it. You don't like your times. You wish you had, 3 to 7 on a Monday, Wednesday, and then off on Friday. Also, I'm off on Friday, which you're not. Kind of sucks for you because I could go home. If I was in your position, I could go home early on the weekends.
I have a job on Friday, though, so.
You have a what?
A job.
Oh, that's right. You do.
Do you have a job on Friday?
I do, actually.
So are you really getting off? Like you're working at your pet hotel?
Yeah, but I'm usually not going to. Like this is a strange week because Saturday I have to be off because we have like an hour like radio meeting. So.
Oh, that's cool.
You bum. You're a bum.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, okay. Then just get off my back. How about that? Let's just get to the freaking show. I'm tired of taking shots.
I want to continue to roast you and not talk about sports at all because we don't know anything anyway. So why would we discuss it?
I don't know. I don't know why we don't just have a politics show 2 hours a day.
Exactly. That's what we know most about.
Right. I can talk about foreign policy for
current events. Everything. We're so up to date on the latest trends and everything.
Right. I know everything about the Pentagon.
Yep. Why wouldn't we?
Right. Exactly. And then photosynthesis.
Area 51. Been there, done that.
All right. Let's dive into it here. Okay. We're gonna start with some NFL news and then go to some NBA for you. So, Odell Beckham says he says that he took the trade from the Giants to the Cleveland Browns personally. And he said that he says that the Giants sent him to Cleveland to die, or he says that the Giants think that they sent him there to die. So he also implied that the Giants also turned down better offers outside of Cleveland just to send him to Cleveland. So do you think that they actually did that? And is this something that he should just move past?
I think it's definitely something he should move past, and why he's talking about it now honestly doesn't surprise me because it's Odell Beckham Jr. But honestly, if the Giants did do that, it wouldn't surprise me either. Like, that sounds something like the Giants management would do. And it sounds kind of petty and everything. But quite honestly, if you're an owner, you sign this guy to your team, he's on your contract, and then he's like, I don't want to play here anymore. I'm not going to do it. No matter what the contract is or whatever, I'm not going to do it. Then you're kind of like, all right, then I'm going to send you wherever, and you're not going to have any say in it. Kind of attitude. I don't think that's right necessarily, but, it's an attitude some owners have to say, I'm just going to send you wherever I want then, and you'll have no say in the matter. Now, whether to just throw him away in Cleveland isn't really true because, I don't think he's being thrown away in Cleveland because they're a playoff contender. I think a lot of people think so. So he's not being sent to, Tampa Bay or, Arizona. Like, he's being sent to a team that has legitimate shots. But on the fact that they turned down better offers, I would like to know specifically what. Because I feel like if that was the case, we would have heard reports from Adam Schefter saying, oh, look who offered Odell. Look who offered for Odell. We would have heard something. And for him to say that, I don't necessarily believe it.
Yeah,
although it wouldn't surprise me, I don't necessarily believe it.
No, I don't believe that either. But the important part is it feels like Odell thinks that they sent him to Cleveland to die. I don't feel like the Giants think that. I've been told that the Cleveland Browns is the hot spot to be in the NFL this offseason. So it tells me that Odell, somewhat in the back of his mind, thinks, Cleveland, huh? I don't want to be.
He's not as high as the team on the team as everyone else is.
Right.
Maybe that's what they say.
And that's what it feels like to me. It also feels like he can't move past it because his ex is New York. It's different when your ex is Cleveland and then
you go to New York.
And you go to New York or you go to LA. Now your ex is New York, the biggest city in America, the number one marketing city to be in for the New York Giants, and you were the most notable star that city has seen since what? I mean, Odell. You think of Odell. What's the last?
Lawrence Taylor.
Pat Ewing, Carmelo Anthony. I mean, he's bigger than all of those guys, except for I think probably Lawrence Taylor. But that shows quite a bit of how important he is to New York. And now he's gone. Now he's in Cleveland, and it feels like he is definitely bitter about it.
So you think it's more about the city of Cleveland rather than the Browns team?
Yes, because I mean, I would say it's a combination of both. Because
I would too, because I think so too.
Because I mean, they're not going to send you there to die, right? Because they got a very good haul for what you for Odell. They got Jabril Peppers, they got a first-round pick, and then I think they got another second-round pick. So they got a pretty good haul for him, considering the amount of money he had left on his deal. Mm-hmm. Cleveland is not a place to go die right now, but it feels like Odell thinks it, or Odell in the back of his mind thinks that everyone's looking at Cleveland as this place that cannot be fixed, or this place that is cursed, can't win, gross city, all that kind of neat stuff. So it feels like Odell thinks that, but I don't think anyone else is. So Odell needs.
I think it's more of Odell being immature Odell, like always.
Right. Well, I think he just can't let it go because he says he takes it personally. It's obvious that the New York Giants is not a well-run organization. No one's debating that whatsoever. I think they were right for trading Odell. I think that relationship had ended there. They had put up. I mean, New York people do not put up. This is a story. That's a very storied franchise. They don't put up with a whole lot of that kind of stuff, and they put up with more than enough with Odell Beckham.
And they gave him a lot of leeway too.
Right.
They knew how big of a deal he was for the team, and they still was like, okay, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But then it's like, you don't want to be here. Like, so bye. Like, you don't want to be here. You don't want to be a part of this team.
Right. So I think he just can't let it go because his ex is New York. Yeah. It's so much tougher for that to happen. LeBron's ex was literally Cleveland. Went to Miami. Doesn't matter. Your ex is Cleveland. If he was drafted by Miami and his ex was Miami, he goes to Cleveland, that's going to be different. Dwayne Wade, his first team that he was drafted by was Miami. Leaves to go Chicago, then goes to Cleveland for about 5 minutes, and then comes back to Miami, comes back to the X. It's so much different when the big one market that you're in, New York, Miami, in football it'd be Dallas and Los Angeles, Chicago. Those are the cities in football that you're going to come back to because those are the prime time cities that people want to live in. So it's tough for a guy to go to Cleveland and get over an X that was as good as it gets when it comes to living wise in a city.
Yeah.
Okay, and then moving on, we haven't, for some reason, the Cleveland Browns are a controversial team. I mean, I couldn't have seen this one coming. Austin, I know you're a huge Cleveland Browns hater, much like I am. So Baker Mayfield calls out Daniel Jones. Then he kind of backtracks on it. Let me look at the quote right here. Very strange situation they have here. So he had a GQ quote. He said, "Some people overthink it. That's where people go wrong. They forget you gotta win. Either you have a history of winning and being that guy for your team, or you don't." Came from a conversation in April about himself, not Jones, who went 17-9 at Duke. So it was taken out of context a little bit, but it seemed as much of a shot as Daniel Jones as it was. You gotta win. Daniel Jones didn't win at Duke. He called and tried to clear the air, but a lot of people took this to heart, said that he's calling out Daniel Jones. So what do you make of this?
I don't know. There's just so many different drama stories you can say in the NFL when it comes to preseason about what this quarterback said, what Odell said, what Antonio Brown is saying, all these different things. And so I don't really necessarily believe that Baker meant it as a diss, more like kind of just spur of the moment statement. He's like, I can see where people are taking that, so I'm going to go ahead and try to save myself from all this media fire that I'm now in. Because I don't think he necessarily believes that. Patrick Mahomes didn't win in college either. And look what he's doing. So I think he knows that's not true, translating wins from college to the NFL. That doesn't matter. So I think it was just a moment where he said something and he's like, ooh, people are taking this wrong. I'm going to save myself because I don't necessarily believe what I said, kind of attitude. So this to me, honestly, is just another preseason storyline of, the Browns are kind of an interesting team this year. Let's put a little bit more of a spotlight on them because there's a lot of interesting characters. So we're going to find any type of bait we can get and pull it out. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. No, because this is the third time that Baker Mayfield has stepped in it this offseason. Austin, it is August 22nd, 2019. This is the slowest news cycle possible, okay? And he is at the top of it every single week, it feels like. This is a guy that cannot shut his mouth about anything. Whether this was taken out of context or not, he does not deserve the benefit of the doubt. You haven't done anything in this league, just like Daniel Jones has done nothing in this league. You have no right to talk. You have zero right to talk. You haven't won anything. You were 7-6, or was it 7-1, whatever the record was for the Browns last year. You were not great last year. You were good last year. You were not groundbreaking rookie season, okay? You have no room to talk, and this is something that is going to happen every time. If we are prying stories out of Baker Mayfield today, August 22nd, what's going to happen when it's midseason? They've lost 2 in a row. Baker Mayfield kind of slights his offensive line, kind of slights one of his receivers for dropping a ball, kind of slights Freddie Kitchens' head coaching job or offensive coordinator's ability to call offensive plays. This is stuff that's not going to stop. This is little stuff turning into big fires. I want a firefighter as a quarterback. I don't want an arsonist. I don't want a guy who's going to start fires. Baker Mayfield starts fires. I don't like it. And it's only going to get worse. This is the slowest time. We're not trying to pry quotes out of him. This is literally verbatim quotes for Baker Mayfield, quotes from Odell Beckham, quotes from Freddie Kitchens. They turned a backup running back into a month-and-a-half-long story.
Yeah.
You cannot have that. This is good. When going into this season, this is going to be a dumpster fire of a team. Book it. I'm telling you. This team is going to be a media circus. Okay? Now I'm not saying they're going to be.
It kind of is, honestly.
Absolutely, already is. So, and this is the time where it's almost impossible to be media circus. So if we're so trying to pry every little quote out of Baker Mayfield, why don't all 32 quarterbacks have that happen? Why does that now happen to Tom Brady? Why doesn't it happen to Sam Darnold? Why doesn't it happen to Joe Flacco? Why is it just Baker Mayfield? Why is it just Baker Mayfield and Aaron Rodgers? Because those are the 2 quarterbacks that talk the most stuff in the NFL. They're the 2 quarterbacks that consistently use the word clickbait in all of their defenses. They say, oh, you guys, the media, you guys are always prying quotes at me, trying to get clickbait. No, both of you are the most talked about quarterbacks, the most controversial quarterbacks, because you talk the most. That's why you are that way. It's pretty freaking simple. Tom Brady has played for 20 years.
See, my thing is, though, I don't have a problem with guys like that. I like guys who are just not the media, just, basic, say the same, well, we're going to try to get better. We need some things to work on. I like guys who are just real. I've always liked guys like that.
That's fine. But when you cross a certain line, talking crap, talking smack, you have to back it up. And then if you don't, you will be crushed for it. Tom Brady has played for close to 20 years? He hasn't said a word. He hasn't said anything relevant to anything his entire career. Baker Mayfield's already talked more and been more controversial than Tom Brady has his entire career. That's just the personality. And this is going to get worse and worse throughout the season. This is a 24-year-old, by the way. This is not Sam Darnold, who was the youngest starting quarterback in league history. This is not Patrick Mahomes. He's older than a lot of these young rookie quarterbacks. He should be mature enough to realize all of this, but he's not. And I don't see it happening anytime soon.
No.
I'm sorry. I know you love him. I know you
don't. So we're not ever going to agree on this.
Well, I mean, if your guy would just stop, making a media cycle every week, maybe I wouldn't have to start talking about him. Why does Deshaun Watson not get any media circus?
Because he doesn't have a personality like Baker Mayfield does.
Because he doesn't talk. You don't know that he doesn't have a personality. We don't know these guys. He just doesn't talk to you. He just doesn't talk to the media. Sam Darnold doesn't look like he has a personality, but I promise you he does. Joe Flacco doesn't ever say anything to the media. I know that's a weird example. It's just random quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford, he doesn't say anything to the media. Mitchell Trubisky doesn't say anything to the media. There are only 2 quarterbacks of the 32 teams that say anything. 2.
What about Cam Newton?
Cam Newton? Okay, yeah, 3. You could put him in there. I would say he's not as much lately. I think he's matured quite a bit.
So don't you think Baker could mature, though?
I think he could, but he is much worse than Cam Newton was coming out of college, being 1 year into the league. Jared Goff, one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. What have you ever heard from Jared Goff in a quote? I literally have never in my entire life seen a quote from Jared Goff. Anything. That isn't, day by day, got to go out there and execute.
Yeah, exactly. All the cliches.
Yeah, you have to give him the cliches because you are the face of a franchise. No matter how bad of a quarterback you are the face of that franchise, multi-billion-dollar franchise. I'm not going out there and talking about Daniel Jones. I'm surprised he got drafted so high and that he didn't win in college, and that you have to win in order to be in college. And that's what it's all based off of. It's pathetic. I'm tired of hearing it. Okay, more NFL. Melvin Gordon, running back for the Los Angeles, I hate saying that, Chargers.
I say San Diego.
Yeah. A holdout expected to last much longer. That is, quote, getting very ugly. So, is it time the Chargers need to pay Melvin Gordon?
My thing is, and maybe you know this better than I do, who else do they really have? I mean, I really don't know who else they have and how strong is their offensive line. Like, in the case of the Cowboys, it's kind of like you can kind of put anyone back there and survive kind of mentality. Whereas the Chargers, I don't really think that's the case.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time to pay him, like you were kind of saying. But the thing is, right now, is this team is riddled with injuries right now, and this team has historically.
They always are.
Exactly. This team is historically riddled with injuries. You have Derwin James, who has a screw bent in his foot. That's a big freaking problem to have. He's the best player on your team, bar none. And the thing is that I've been thinking, let's go through history with Phillip Rivers. When is the time that he has been the best Phillip Rivers that we have ever seen? So last year he had pretty much a career year last year, and when he had LaDainian Tomlinson. So when he had LaDainian Tomlinson and you had Melvin Gordon. Both, Dan Tomlin's probably top 5 running back of all time. Melvin Gordon's probably a top 5, top 10 running back of today. I'm not 100% sure that Phillip Rivers is going to be able to survive at this age without Melvin Gordon, without a solid running back. You have Eckler back there, and he's okay, but he was also gotten injured last year. So I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be able to fill the spot either. I don't know if you have much
Austin
choice.
Eckler, Justin Jackson, and Deatrius Newsome. And see, that's what, and honestly, it's like what I was saying about with the Cowboys is like, oh, well, you can kind of put anyone back there. Yeah, but why wouldn't you want to put the best guy back there? And it was with the Chargers. Clearly, Phillip Rivers is at his best when he has a good running back to dip, even if nothing else, to dump it off to. Someone where you dump it off and you're like, this guy's going to go make me a play. Whereas, is Austin Eckler really going to be that guy to do that for Phillip Rivers? I don't know, but clearly when Melvin Gordon's back there, you have some of your best seasons in your franchise's history. So I think it's time to pay him. I think it really is. And I don't really understand who are you really waiting? Who's in line to get paid before him? That's the other thing too. Whereas like the Cowboys, they have so many other guys to pay with Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott and Jalen Smith, obviously. All of these guys before Zeke. Whereas in Melvin Gordon's case, who's really a priority above him?
Right. I mean, yeah.
Right?
There isn't, I don't think, right now. Because you have Melvin Gordon, he's scheduled to make $5.6 million this year. And really he's trying to get a pay raise, I think, is around 10 to 12. And really it sounds like 1 to 2 million is the kind of the starting point. It's kind of the difference between the two sides right now with Melvin Gordon and the Los Angeles Chargers. So I think you have to pay him because I'm not convinced that Phillip Rivers is a guy that can do it all on his own. He has had he
hasn't shown that he can.
He has had some of the most offensive help in NFL history. You're talking about, remember Vincent Jackson? Remember how dominant that wide receiver used to be? Antonio Gates, a top 3 tight end of all time. He had him his entire career. He had LaDainian Tomlinson for forever, and he's had Melvin Gordon for a while. And he had Keenan Allen. You have Russell Okung right now on the left tackle. You have really, truly great weapons that he's had his entire career there in San Diego, Los Angeles. So I think it's time to pay him. He's 26. It's probably only get 1 or 2 contracts like most running backs do in their entire career. So it's time to pay Melvin Gordon. All right, moving on to the NBA. Kind of old news at this point, but kind of wanted to talk about it. Well, also hits close to Austin's heart here. So DeMarcus Cousins tears.
Who's Jordan's favorite player, by the way, in case the viewers didn't realize that.
Huge Boogie fan because I was obviously very wrong about him. He's a superstar and has always has been. And he's a huge winner. DeMarcus Cousins tears.
He's a team guy. Kind of like Odell. No controversy at all.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Austin. DeMarcus Cousins tears his ACL in Vegas playing pickup. So, what are the Lakers' chances looking like now to make a deep playoff run without a guy like DeMarcus Cousins?
Really, I don't think he would have been that big of an impact to this team. He would have helped, and that's why the way you phrase this question makes it really interesting, to make a deep playoff run. Because now what DeMarcus Cousins' injury really does for the Lakers is hurt their bench even more than it already was limited. Now it's even more limited. Now their bench is even worse than it already was. So in terms of making a deep playoff run, it becomes a lot more difficult. I still believe in this team to make a deep playoff run because I think you have the 2 out of the top 5 best players in the league on your team. So I think that makes a difference. And having those bets in Davis and LeBron together, I think makes a difference. But if you make an argument for them saying, man, I mean, if you're playing games back to back like that, you're going into a game 7 in the round 1, your chances of making it out of round 2 are that much more difficult because you're starting to rely on your bench a lot more, and you really can't rely on your bench. Especially when you get into harder teams you're playing against, such as the Clippers, obviously, will have a great bench. It looks like Utah's going to have a great bench and a lot of depth. There's a lot of teams that have a lot more depth than the Lakers. So it becomes a lot more difficult. I still have faith in this team because of Anthony Davis and LeBron being the two out of the top 5 players in the entire league. That's what I think makes the difference. But it becomes a lot more difficult without DeMarcus Cousins. And you're like, why? He wasn't even going to start. Yeah, but he was going to be the leader coming off the bench. And now who is? Alex Caruso? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, so the thing is that you're relying so heavily on those two guys,
Exactly.
LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You remove one of those two guys. Say you have LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers team currently. That is still probably bottom 5 rosters in the NBA, even with the best player on earth. I think
you could say the same for LeBron's 2016, 17, 18 Cleveland team.
Wasn't that bad. No, they were not that
I don't know.
They were not, if you took LeBron off, they were not the worst team in the NBA. You take LeBron and Anthony Davis off, they are, by such a wide margin, maybe the worst team in NBA history. If you took both those guys off, or they're both injured, Kyle Kuzma is literally the best player, and some people are still doubting Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
This team is not destined for a deep playoff run whatsoever. You have LeBron James. The thing is, in this happens in every sport all the time. Once the seal is broken on an injury, the floodgates are open. Once he gets injured that first time, and it's his first time in the entire time he's ever, first time he gets injured that kept him out for extended time. He had that broken nose, and he wore that black mask that was hideous, and then he had that whole ordeal. But that didn't really count because he pretty much played all those games. He was out for an extended period of time last season. He's not getting any younger. I know he spends millions of dollars on his body every single year. But once the seal is broken, the floodgates are open. And once that happens, I think he's going to get injured again this year. And I think Anthony Davis, who has been injured all the time.
But see, when I look at it, I don't want to rely on, I think he's going to get injured. I'm going 100%. I think he'll remain healthy.
You're right. With both of these guys, they still are going out in the first, second round. No doubt in my mind. I don't see this team as anything special without those two. You need something else. I know the NBA is now riddled with parity. You have 2 stars on your team, and then you're hoping that this is the year that depth is the most important to have, because you have two. Everyone has 2 stars. You can make the case for almost 15 NBA teams that could win the title because you have 2 stars, and now the depth is so important. You have teams like Utah, like Milwaukee, like Toronto. Toronto was deep, even though they lost Kawhi Leonard. You have a lot of teams that have a ton of depth. You have Golden State and Los Angeles Lakers, who have the worst bench in the NBA. That is not going to work for the playoffs. They will get to the playoffs.
You admit, though, if James and Davis stay healthy and they're 100%, there's no starting 5 that matches up with those two.
Yeah, there is.
I don't know.
A starting 5, starting 2. No, you're right, because there's a 2. I think Anthony Davis isn't top 5. I think top 7, around there. It doesn't matter. Pretty much top 5. And then LeBron, I think, is probably number 1 when he's healthy. I can't compare those two to anybody. I can't. But I can 100% compare the Clippers starting 5 that blows the Los Angeles Lakers out of the water 10 times out of 10. You have guys like Patrick Beverley. You have Paul George. You have Kawhi Leonard. 100%. Montrezl Harrell, they are 100% starting 5 is better than the Lakers.
You don't even know Paul George is going to be healthy, though.
You don't know LeBron James is going to be healthy. We can play this game.
We have more of a. Who do you think would be? Who, if you had Paul George or LeBron, who do you think gets hurt between those two?
I think LeBron James gets hurt.
Why?
Because he was out for more extended time last year. It was a more serious injury.
Who's been hurt more often in their career, though?
Well, Paul George. But because LeBron James is almost 10 years older.
Yeah.
The seal is broken. I'm not counting on an injury. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's going to happen. I'm not counting on the injury. But if you're talking about starting 5s, the Lakers are not even top 3 in starting 5s in the NBA. I don't want to hear that. No, Anthony Davis and LeBron James are 2 top 5 players. I'll give you top 5 players. But we're talking about starting 5s. There's 3 other players on the floor, Austin. You have Milwaukee starting 5, who might be the best in the NBA. You have Golden State is going to challenge them. You're going to have Houston's is going to challenge them. Utah is going to challenge them. The 2 players don't make a starting 5. So I don't want to hear a starting 5 comparison. I'll hear a duo, the best duos in the NBA, because I think they're by far number 1.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So we're going to talk a little more Lakers. Dwight Howard, eyeing return to the Lakers. That probably won't matter a ton. We're kind of trying to replace Boogie Cousins a little bit. But I want to talk about something I think is that I've kind of heard a little bit of controversy around. Is Dwight Howard, if he retired today, is he a Hall of Famer?
He retired today?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Wow, really?
I don't think so. I mean,
I'm disappointed.
He hasn't won, has he? I mean,
well, is that the parameters that we're going by? You have to win to be a Hall of Famer?
And how many? Okay, and then I also look at how many years were you the best at your position? 2 or 3?
He was long. I think it was probably longer than. It was obviously the back surgery in LA. LA messed him up.
That ruined it. Yeah.
Yes. The Lakers completely mishandled his back, and it ruined him. And that's exactly what happened. He had 6. He had 8 All-Star seasons. 6 of those were prime Dwight Howard, and he's played 11. No. He's played almost 15, 13 years, I think. 14 years.
All-Star 6, an All-Star starter 6 of those years?
I don't know. But 8-time All-Star.
8-time All-Star, 8-time All-NBA. Let's see.
This is a Hall of Fame.
2-time block champ, 5-time All-Defense, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. I didn't know that. I didn't know the Defensive Player of the Year.
He won them in 3 consecutive seasons. This is a Hall of Famer in my mind because I look at the most dominating forces in the NBA. When it comes to the Hall of Fame, stats isn't exactly the first thing I look at. I just think when I watched this guy play and he was in his prime, was he one of the best to ever do it? Dwight Howard was one of the best to ever do it. When he was in his prime, when he was Superman, he was dunking on everybody. He was the best defender in the NBA. He was by far the best center in the NBA. He's one of the most athletic freaks we've ever seen. I think
his prime was probably from 2006 to 2011-12 in Orlando, I would say.
Yes, absolutely in Orlando. And then he had the back surgery, and no surprise, he hasn't been the same since that. But I think this is a guy that's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I know it's a tough one because you think about how lack of longevity plays into it. But this is one of the best guys to ever do it at the center position. Probably the most athletic center of all time.
I think a lot of reason that a lot of these people are maybe saying, oh, no way, is because he really hasn't been good since the Lakers in 2013. So it's like, man, he hasn't been good in 5 years. That's kind of tough. And so I think that a lot of people are just thinking about it now, when in reality, you're right. And I didn't realize the Defensive Player of the Year. I think that significantly, he was the best center in the league for, I'd say, probably 4 or 3 straight years. So yeah, I think he would. I think he would be a Hall of Famer.
Okay. And I think there's no doubt if he didn't have that back surgery, we'd be talking about him top 5 centers of all time.
Yeah.
If you look at all the all-time stats, he's in there with blocks and rebounds and all that good stuff. So I think he's undoubtedly a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best to ever do it as a position. So, okay, moving on to college football, a story that I found just not too long ago. Jim Harbaugh, head coach for the Michigan Wolverines, talking in his new book, I think it's called Overtime. He says that it's tough to recruit out there because, quote, it's hard to beat the cheaters, unquote. And he takes multiple shots at the SEC in this book. So what do you make of that?
I think he's jealous that he's not in the SEC and can't recruit those guys who want to play it in Alabama.
Wow. Okay.
That's what it seems to me like. He's like, man, I want those kids from Alabama. I want those kids from Texas, but I can't convince them to come up here to Michigan and lose to Ohio State every year.
Whoa. Okay.
I mean, honestly, like, if you're talking Big Ten, then if you're talking Big Ten, isn't Ohio State kind of the one you'd lean towards first, then Michigan?
Penn State too.
Jim Harbaugh hasn't beat Ohio State. Hasn't beat them. That's kind of a factor for him recruiting wise. I don't think that's necessarily him like saying taking shots at the cheaters. It's him saying, "Well, why can't I get those guys?" Well, because you can't win the Big Ten. I don't know. Like that's why Alabama gets those guys because they win the SEC.
Yeah, but it's kind of a what came first, the chicken or the egg. Well, in order to stay and to win the Big Ten, you have to get the recruits in order to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to defend Jim Harbaugh on this one because I'm going to go off of, if he's saying this, I don't think he's stupid enough to be a cheater and then say something like this. Now, if he is that dumb, then, oh my God, I'm going to look like an idiot too. So I'm going to go with that.
If something comes out that he is a cheater.
Right. Then I'm going to be in some questioning here. But we know the SEC cheats. We know a lot of these conferences cheat, especially the SEC. I'm gonna highlight them mostly. Ole Miss cheats, and they still suck. They still can't win, and they cheat. You know for a fact Alabama's paying players. You know for a fact almost all of these collegiate programs are giving incentives to these players, but they are going completely unnoticed and overlooked. So I don't doubt this whatsoever. It does sound like he is kind of complaining a little bit about it, that he's kind of whining that he's not winning because he's not getting the guys that he wants because it's hard to beat the cheaters. But he is right at the same time because we know this system is corrupt. We know guys are getting paid under the table. It's the worst kept secret in all of the nation. So I agree with him, but I understand how it could be looked at like how you just saw it.
How is it ever going to change though? At some point, like you're going to have to find a way to recruit some of these guys or find some diamonds in the rough. Like
you got to overpay. I mean, that's the only thing. You got to just pay them more or give them more incentives.
Yes,
like that. I mean, it's no coincidence.
But then you can look at other programs, not Michigan, like other smaller programs, and you can totally understand where they're coming from. How are they supposed to beat the cheaters? They're never ever going to.
Right. UCF goes undefeated 2 years.
Oklahoma State will never beat out Oklahoma in terms of recruiting. They never will. And there's nothing they're going to be able to do about that.
And are you going to tell me that Norman, Oklahoma is so much more appealing than Stillwater, Oklahoma? That, oh my God, there's so much more to do in Norman. Oh my God, it's a party place, you know.
Exactly.
Stillwater, I'm not buying it. And it comes the same with Ann Arbor and Lansing. Oh man, I got to go to Lansing. Got to go to Ann Arbor. I got to go to Tuscaloosa. Got to go to Clemson. No. I'm tired of hearing these guys are just historic, just these big programs because they're in such a great location. They're in college towns. No, it's because they're definitely getting something under the table. Plus, you're getting the shot to go to the pros afterwards. You're not going to go to Boise State if you don't have to. You're not going to go to Colorado if you don't have to. So I think he's 100% right, but I can also see where it can kind of seem a little bit like he's kind of whining about it at the same time. Yeah. So, all right, we'll move on to top five. This is kind of the second half of the show we weren't able to get to last time.
Yeah.
Top 5 NFL uniforms. And then top 5.
This is a good one.
Okay. Take it away, Austin. Go with either one. You call it.
All right, I'm refreshing my memory here. So I'll start with the uniforms, and now go from 5 down. So I picked the Seattle Seahawks. I know this is kind of an interesting one, but I honestly don't hate the green with the gray and the blue. I don't hate it, and plus I kind of feel like it just kind of fits that area of like that's how like the Mariners are similar in color. And then, the Supersonics were green too. So it's like it kind of fits how that region of the country was. And so I also really like their logo. I like their logo.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Number 4, a lot of mine are like super kind of like iconic. And then my number 1 is like just a personal favorite of mine. But number 4 is the Chicago Bears. It's just so iconic. For some reason, the blue and the orange just work so well together. It fits. I don't know. It's hard to really describe why you like a uniform because a lot of it's just kind of your personal opinion. But I like the Bears uniforms. The Patriots, I mean, red, white, and blue, USA, everything's kind of themed, patriotic. As it should be with their team. Number 2, I have Cincinnati, mostly for their helmets. That's the biggest key. I'm not like their jerseys are they're black. Their helmets are the biggest key of this whole uniform outfit by far.
Yeah,
because it's the tiger pattern with the stripes, the orange with the black stripes. They're sweet. They're sweet, and it fits like their whole stadium with like the jungle and everything. It looks really cool when it's all together. And then number 1, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but I like purple and white. Butler, K-State. I don't know why that is. It's odd. Fun fact about me. So number 1, I actually have the Minnesota Vikings. I really like their helmet as well, with the Viking horns like coming out in white and then their whole helmet being purple. And then the purple and gold, everything I think is sweet. And then with the white horns, that's the key. So that's my number 1.
Okay, I have a little problem with the Seahawks because I actually do like the way they look, but it just reminds me so much of a college football team. So I couldn't put the Seahawks in my top 5.
Why college football?
Because it looks just like the Oregon Ducks, and they're literally the exact same. They're one state south. It's the exact same layout. It's so patterned, so detailed. Everything's so intricate. I couldn't bear it. I actually enjoy the way they look. I just don't like it in the pros. So that's why they're not in my top 5. So number 5, I have the Patriots. I take logo and helmet into very big consideration in this one, because the Patriots have, I think, probably the best logo in the NFL. They have it's patriotic, literally. I mean, you have some of the best pattern schemes. You have the sleeves with the red, white, and blue, like you were saying earlier. The Patriots on both sides of them, and then it's just iconic because they won a whole lot. You just know it. And then number 4, I think the best color in human history is ice white and cool blue. It is perfect, and I just love the way it looks. And number 4 comes in the Indianapolis Colts. Nothing a whole lot to them. I mean, the logo.
That's why I was like, it's nothing special. You just like those special.
It's nothing special. The logo, I think, is also one of the better ones in the NFL on their helmet. In the white background with the white numbers with the blue outlines, I think is just one of the coolest looks in the NFL. My sunglasses that I usually buy, I usually get the blue lenses with the white frames because it just looks crisp. Yeah. It's cool. I love them. Number 3, I also have the Chicago Bears. You have the navy blue with the white and orange. It's just something that Walter Payton. You just see it all the time. Now it's Khalil Mack.
It's just so crisp.
It's crisp. The numbers pop. And that's one big thing that I think really drives these,
especially for us sports broadcasters.
Right. Exactly.
You want to see the numbers.
Right. If the numbers can pop, that's something that's a big plus for me. And then number 2, I have the Miami Dolphins. Now, I consider the home, away, and the alternates. Now, the Dolphins have some of the best alternates in the NFL. They have that nice green color with the white numbers in the middle, and they have also one of the best logos in the NFL as well. Now, they changed it throughout the years, and now I still like the new age looking Dolphin. Those green uniforms, I think, are the best. They're second best in the NFL. I absolutely love when they wear those. Again, the numbers pop, and it just looks amazing, and it fits Miami perfectly. Kind of a Miami Vice sort of vibe to them. And then number 1, I have the Carolina Panthers. 1 through 3 with their uniforms, I think it's the best all around. You have the nice kind of claw on the shoulders.
Their color rush, the teal, the blue is so sweet.
The powder blue that they wear is the best uniform in the NFL, bar none in my mind. It's so perfect. You get the powder with the gray pants, and you have a white outline of the numbers, and you have the stripes down the shoulders that are still iconic to me. They're pretty nice. I love the powder blues. The powder blues and the nice greens for the Dolphins are both just absolutely sweet. I love them both. So 1 and 2, Dolphins, Panthers for me. Okay, top 5 comedians.
So we did kind of like comedy actors. So my number 1 is an actual like comedian as well. As long as going along with his acting, my top 2 are actual comedians as well as with their acting. And so number 5, is more of rather than acting is like some of the stuff he would do for like SNL or like comedy. And that's Bill Hader. He has, I think, probably some of the best. I really like impressions, and I think he has some of the best like impressions I've ever heard. Have you ever seen the show Dateline? You ever seen that show?
Been a while.
So he did this one on like the like different like reporters for Dateline, and it was just the most accurate, like funny thing I think I've ever seen. It's just, I'll have to send you the video because it's so great. If you've ever seen that show, look it up. It's so spot on accurate. Number 4, I have Will Ferrell. I feel like this is a guy, my next 2 guys would just be 2 guys you just sit in a room and you'll just be laughing for hours. Like, it's just, this is just a guy who's just, I don't think can't not be funny. Like, when is he serious? And that's the same for Jim Carrey. When can he be serious? Like, when is there a point where you're like, oh, interesting. You're like, no, never. You're like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Number 2, I have Adam Sandler. A lot of the stuff he did on SNL I thought was really funny. Of course, Happy Gilmore was my favorite movie, so he had to be on there. And then number 1 for me is my favorite comedy routine I've ever seen in my life, Eddie Murphy Raw. It's something I've probably seen it probably close to 6 or 7 times in total. Like it's him at like Madison Square Garden in like a Michael Jackson like leather suit. Oh my gosh. If you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend it. I also like a lot of the movies that he's in, but as in terms of comedy wise, so great. So great.
Yeah, I also have one stand-up guy on here. The others have kind of dabbled in a little bit. One thing that I've also kind of considered is what they've done lately. And 2 of the guys on this list have not been very good lately, and that's why they're so low on my list. But number 5, I have Ed Helms. He hasn't done a whole lot lately, but I think he's hilarious in everything that he's in. I think he plays such a defined, like, reactionary comedian role. Like, in The Hangover, everything that he did that was funny was it was reactionary. Just a complete spur of the moment, hilarious reaction. Same with when he was in The Office. If you ever seen Cedar Rapids, he was hilarious in that as well. So Ed Helms comes in number 5 to me, and he's just iconic. I love him. I love everything he's in.
So
number 4, Will Ferrell. Lately, not been a big fan of what he's been putting out lately. He's kind of developed.
You're a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, right? Sherlock and Watson, big fan.
I'm a huge fan of that movie. Yeah. Number 4, I have Will Ferrell. I think lately, it just seems like most of his comedy has just been like more screaming and yelling and all of this stuff. So I have him number 4 because he's put out just some of the most classics you've ever seen in your life: Talladega Nights, Anchorman. The list literally could go on for hours with that. And then number 3, he used to be my number 1, but lately has been crazy. And outside of he hasn't even done comedy lately. He's turned into this like therapist, like I don't know, this artsy fartsy, like weird stuff.
Weird guy.
Weird guy. Jim Carrey, number 3. We both have the same 4 and 3. I think he is the greatest comedian of all. That is my personal opinion. I think he has done the most for comedy. I think he is the most versatile when it comes to physical comedy. I think if you ever watch his stand-ups back in the 90s, were absolutely hilarious. If you're talking about impressions, this guy invented impressions. Okay, Jim Carrey is a legend. I think the best of all time. But lately, I'm not sure what's happening with him. Okay, and then number 2, judge me if you will. His name is Anthony Jeselnik. Now, if you guys know who Anthony Jeselnik is, you're probably laughing at me at home because he tells very, very dark jokes. they're dark jokes to where me and you would laugh at him. Most people on this earth would not think he's very funny. But he's a real niche comedian, or niche, however you say that word anymore. Niche comedian. So many dark jokes. He'll start a punchline and you just don't know where it's going.
That's amazing.
It's absolutely. He has 2 on Netflix that you have to go watch after this. They're absolutely hilarious. You would absolutely love them. If I did, you would love them. Number one, I think my favorite by far, in a way, my favorite comedian of all time. He's in some of my favorite movies. Andy Samberg. Now, this is another SNL that worked with Bill Hader quite a bit. They were both in Hot Rod, my favorite movie of all time. He has produced just everything that he is in is truly hilarious in the way that I think stuff is funny. It's truly, like, again, a niche kind of thing. I think that literally the stupidest things that you could possibly imagine on Earth are the funniest things you could possibly imagine.
And that's what Andy Samberg does.
That's 100% what Andy Samberg does, to where what you're doing or watching is just a complete waste of time. It's just hilarious. There are things that happen for no reason, completely reactionary. None of it makes any sense. It just comes out of nowhere. It's hilarious, and I love it. Hot Rod being the prime example of that. So Andy Samberg, number one for me. All right, so we got two quick Twitter poll questions for you guys, and then we're going to move on to fact or fiction since we were cut off early on Monday. So Twitter poll question, I want to know from you guys, is Dwight Howard a Hall of Famer today? So go ahead and answer that for us. We both think yes. We want to see what you guys think for us as well. And then number two, I mean, an absolute blood feud between America, Coke or Pepsi?
We're dropping the big questions on today.
We're hitting hard. We're hitting hard with the questions.
We're trying to start Twitter fights.
We're trying to start Twitter fights. I mean, we haven't had one blow up since we had the Sherbert debate. So Coke or Pepsi?
The iconic Sherbert debate.
Yes, the iconic Sherbert debate. So, okay, we're gonna move on to fact or fiction, but go ahead and vote for Twitter. I gotta read out the Twitter poll question for last week. It was almost a landslide, if I remember correctly. And we asked you, should NFL just completely eliminate preseason? So we had 24 votes. 67% said yes. 33% said no. So a lot of you guys agreeing that the NFL should just completely eliminate preseason. And then we had 18 votes on, is taking your own clothes to golf an acceptable act? 18 votes. 50-50 tie.
Are you serious?
50-50 tie. 9 votes each side. So I guess we'll never know.
Wow.
Guess we'll never know. Okay. Back to fiction. Austin went 3 for 3 last time.
Boy, I needed it.
You were now 19 of 36. That's all you needed. You just need to bounce back.
I need to stay hot.
And now I got 3 tough ones for you again this week. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. I need to stay hot. I need it.
Need to stay hot. All right. Number 1. Straight pipe wrenches are made mostly of the heaviest metal on earth, osmium. I think that's correct. Or February 1865 is the only month in recorded history not to have a full moon.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to say you're an astronomy guy though. That's what makes this tough. Like, I feel like that's something you could have learned.
I mean, I could have. I mean, I wouldn't stick with that. I don't know. That's kind of too specific for me to learn, you know? They're like, oh, remember that one time in 65? Not 19, 18.
Oh, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with the moon is real.
The moon is real. There you go. Nice work. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that from astronomy class. I looked it up, but I mean, I guess there you go. Okay, number 2. Let's go. Let me give a space here. Number 2. Every time you lick a stamp, you consume 1/10 of a calorie. Or that the Atari sold more systems in 2017 than it did in 1977.
Ooh. See, a lot of those systems are starting to come back. So that sounds super believable. But I'm going to go with the stamp. I think the stamp's are real.
Stay hot, Mr.
Oh my
Sports.
gosh, I'm kidding.
Wow. I can't shake you. I can't do it. This is wow. All right, you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Oh, 6 for 6?
That'd be nuts. That'd be unheard of. We're approaching uncharted territory here.
We are. I don't think you've ever gone 5 for 5 before.
No, I haven't.
All right. Number 3. John F. Kennedy's dog was also assassinated just a week after he was. Or that the electric chair was designed by a dentist. Both pretty dark.
Both pretty brutal. Oh my. I'm gonna go with the electric chair. I'm going to go with the electric chair.
6 for 6.
Are you
Wow.
serious?
Wow. I can't.
Let's go.
You can't make this stuff up. 22 of 39.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Wow. I don't even know what to do anymore. I mean, those are tough. Those are good.
I've never done that in the history of literally our show for the last 3 years.
Wow. Congrats.
I'm feeling great.
Hey, but you needed this because you came off of a very cold streak for 2 weeks.
I did.
And now you're on the hottest streak possible for 2. So you're making up ground, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Let's go.
All right.
Put me in the MVP race. I deserve it.
We're on our last segment of the show. We're going to go with George's Bet of the Day and Austin's Today in Sports History. So, Austin, go ahead.
So today in sports history, there's a lot of Olympic stuff to choose from, but this one stuck out to me the most. Today in 1994, of course, everyone knows it's a pretty big year in the world of sports because today O.J. Simpson tested positive for DNA testing on Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. Brutal stuff.
I was going to say, I thought my questions were brutal. About as brutal as we get. Okay, I got 2 bets of the day for you. I have the Nationals tonight going against the Pirates, minus 220, and I know that's a pretty heavy line. Got to bet a lot of money to make any money on that one. But you got Max Scherzer going for the Nationals tonight, and they're 6 games back of the Braves in the NL East race. And the Pirates are playing some of the worst baseball they've had the entire year. You got to go with the Nationals tonight. That's one of the safest bets. Max Scherzer is undoubtedly going to deal against the Pirates. And then I got plus 300. This is a futures bet for the NFL, so your money will be tied up for a while. But I think it's almost a guaranteed bet at this point. Plus 300. It's the highest odds in the NFL for Jay Gruden, being the first coach fired in the NFL season. So plus 300 for that. He's got the highest odds. I think no coach is a plus 700. And I think it's the next closest odds. So Jay Gruden definitely on the hot seat, looking down the barrel. And you got QB controversy going on there. You have offensive all of a sudden gone. Jameson Crowder's out of there. You're getting Darius Guice back, but who knows how big of an impact he'll make. Jordan Reed will probably get hurt again. So plus 300, Jay Gruden getting fired, and then minus 220 tonight for the Washington Nationals beating Pittsburgh Pirates. All right, that's it for us on Minneapolis. Austin, say bye to the people.
Bye, people.
I'm Jordan Griffin. He is Austin McNorton. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.